Welcome back to the TechCouture podcast. I'm your host, Kabir Shah, and today I want to start off by having everyone close your eyes. Imagine that you're inside of a museum and you see these figures. These figures are wearing clothes you've seen on your favorite celebrities, maybe on your favorite athletes, on the runway. Sorry guys, this is just for the girls. Now walk up, take one of those pieces off, and now you can take it and wear it. Today's guests make this a reality. I want to introduce you to Gabriella Carota and Janelle Gray-Gilbert. They're the duo behind Isle of Monday. Isle of Monday is building the first on-demand, publicly available platform for luxury vintage rental. Isle of Monday is building the operational and technological infrastructure to both authenticate, streamline, and scale luxury vintage fashion. And today, I'm excited to have them both onto the platform. Welcome, guys. This is a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
Can you first start off by, tell us what you're wearing. What do we have going on here?
You want to go first?
Sure. This is actually just like an unsigned Wilson's jacket that's vintage. I think I got this on like eBay or something, but every time I leave the house, I get a compliment on it. It's definitely a men's jacket, but I wear it all the time.
There you go.
And then I have a Fendi blouse on underneath that's also vintage and is available on Isle of Monday.
There you go.
Yes, and I'm wearing 2000s Betsy Johnson. Just a little coquette number. Yeah, so cute. Yeah.
Awesome. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Jalen. He's the designer behind Fades. He actually set me up with this jacket for those of you who can see. So for anyone listening, go check out Isle of Monday first, but then also check out Jalen at Fades.
I want one of those jackets.
There
No,
you
it's
go.
so cool.
Yeah. Also, your socks are cool. I was noticing that.
You know, I always like wearing funky socks.
Yeah, you have a good fit on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like it. I would wear that jacket. I like it.
Maybe this should also be like a styling podcast where you talk about your outfit and
And
everything.
it matches with the plant, so it looks
Yeah.
good.
Green is my favorite color.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see
It
that.
is. Can you first start talking about who the two of you are, a little bit about your background, and how the two of you met?
Yeah, so my background is in fashion and finance, kind of strange, but it works for me. I started my career, like my professional career, I would say, in the finance world. I worked at EY, which is like a big accounting firm, went and did consulting for finance, but all at the same time, I was like simultaneously involved in fashion since like the age of 16. I started in the modeling industry, and then I started vintage collecting and ultimately reselling in like 2018, 2019 timeframe. And yeah, Janelle and I met in 2022 at a very kismet meeting, actually right on Canal Street.
Yeah,
Wow.
we did. We
Yeah.
met, down the street. That's
Down
so
the street.
funny.
Yeah. Literally,
very
actually,
full
literally
circle.
down the street.
Yeah.
So yeah, she came to one of my pop-ups. I was vintage reselling. She was looking at a leather jacket. Was not as cute as this one. And then she later DM'd me wanting to work together because she was vintage reselling furniture. So she wanted to do like a collab where like she had her furniture and I had my clothes. And the rest is history.
As all great things start with the DM.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With a DM.
Yeah, I
Yes.
stalked her a little bit. That's okay though. My background's in marketing and brand. So I've always been in the tech industry and big tech specifically from like startups, more like high growth startups, as well as Salesforce for 6 years. Did like brand partnership, content, customer marketing, that type of thing. But what was cool about my time there, I would say was probably like my most pivotal part of my career was that we worked with a lot of luxury retailers as well. So we would do partnerships with like insane brands like Gucci and Dior and Brunello Cucinelli, and they would like fly me to go be at these productions. So that was really cool, and I feel like has bode well for
Yes.
us as we've built Isle of Monday because we are in the luxury space. But yes, to Gabriella's point, the two of us met, and I was at a startup at the time before I returned to Salesforce, and I had kind of picked up the hobby of vintage furniture collecting, and which sounds ridiculous, and reselling.
So good though.
It was great. Like the furniture was great, but it's so like labor intensive. And I was like, I'm going to actually like break my back before I turn 30 if I keep doing this. So meeting Gabriella was very kismet, and she really introduced like the world of vintage clothes to me. And I became absolutely obsessed and hooked. And then we started building together, and the rest is history.
Wow. So building together for 5 years now, roughly?
I would say building for about a year and a half.
For the rental aspect.
Yeah.
Got
We
it.
were in resale working together for I think like 2 years. And then in 2024 is when we really kind of took a look at what we were doing from a resale perspective. And we're like, I think we can flip this on its head a little bit and make it more accessible. And we started building the rental component
Got it.
in 2024.
We would do like little pop-ups together, mostly in New York, but we did one in Jersey at one point. And at the time, we kind of were thinking through like basically selling off a bunch of inventory because we wanted to do the rental aspect of our business and we needed to like take a break. And between me and Gabriella, she helped like acquire the inventory and I helped market it. We had 15,000 girls show up in a single weekend.
Wow.
Which was
horrible.
Yeah,
it was fun. It actually was not fun.
No, it was not fun.
Managing it is probably not fun.
It was not. Yeah, it was like all around kind of terrible experience, but it did validate what we were doing. And it just went to show that like we're great together, like we're a great team. And also like the demand for vintage is just like, it's actually wild.
Skyrocketing right now.
Yeah, it's wild. Like the things that girls will do to like get their hands on something good is crazy. But I'm also crazy and I will do those things too. So
there you go.
Yeah, building a business around it together.
So, I mean, for all corporate warriors, don't worry, it is possible. You can escape consulting. You can escape finance.
Yeah.
We have proof right here. But first, talk a little bit more about that resale business. Isle of Monday, let's call it version 1.
Yeah.
You talked about, sitting on all this inventory. You have tons of demand, obviously, but what did that teach you building this first version and what sort of ultimately led to pivoting onto the rental aspect?
I think the biggest thing with resale is we would essentially like source all of this inventory, do a pop-up and have it sell out immediately, which was like 3-4 months of work sourcing because at the time we were not full-time. This was kind of like a hobby, something that we did because we loved it. But when you spend 4 months sourcing and then you have a pop-up and everything sells out and you have to start from square one, it's just not scalable or even like sustainable. So that is kind of where the rental idea came up. And we were kind of thinking like, okay, there is a ton of demand for this. How do we figure out like a model where we can hold onto our inventory for longer so we're not consistently selling out and continue to monetize off of it? So that's when we're like, oh, rental.
I also will say, like, in addition to that, we would have a lot of girls who would be like, oh, did that already sell? Like, I would have loved to wear that, like, have worn that. Or we would find something like really sick and girls would naturally start to ask to borrow it. I think like big players like Pickle have started to really normalize that, especially in New York. And so we would get those types of requests too.
Yeah.
And when you sell something and it goes into one person's closet and then you have to disappoint the next customer, like rental becomes a more natural kind of concept for those women. And also vintage has become astronomically expensive just as it's naturally, just because it's like rare, it's perceived as rare. And obviously like if there's limited items, it's going to drive up demand, which is going to drive up cost. But also it's just become expensive because it's extremely popular now. So like certain fashion houses and designers, like there's things that impact the fluctuation of price, and rental also helps with that. So it makes things accessible that people would otherwise normally never be able to afford or want to spend money on.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about this sort of, I think, cultural shift that's happened specifically around resale. And by nature of that, I think rentals definitely benefited from it. From a culture perspective, such an increase in popularity. Like it's no longer a taboo, like, oh, I'm shopping secondhand. Now it's cool, you know? And now you have different categories like vintage that's popping up, obviously. From an economic standpoint, it's certainly much cheaper to procure these products as a consumer, either from a rental or resale perspective, depending on on what product you're trying to buy, right? So I think that's increased the accessibility of the product, and it's so popular amongst Gen Z, millennials as well. But what have you seen when it comes to those aspects, cultural, economic, that's given you the, let's call it, confidence that yes, this is the right path that we're taking?
I think from like a unit economics perspective for our company, we can make far more money renting a piece than we could reselling it outright. And then from kind of like a cultural perspective, which you can talk more about, but I do feel like it opens up access to more people. So in renting, we're actually able to acquire much like a higher number of customers than if we were to resell outright too. So it's like customer acquisition in one hand, and then also we're able to like make more money in the other hand. So it's kind of a win-win for us. And it's a win-win for the customer because these are pieces that they probably wouldn't be able to afford on the resale market. Vintage, like Janelle said, is so expensive, so they can now access it for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah. I'll add to that too. I think two things. obviously people love secondhand because it is cheaper in most areas, mostly for modern clothes. For vintage, it's not necessarily like
Actually more expensive.
Yeah, it's actually more expensive. So like a Fendi bag that was sold originally back in the 90s for however much money is going to be way more expensive now because they're no longer manufacturing it. It's less like it's more rare. It's harder to find. All of that kind of impacts the price. Maybe it had like a really iconic cultural moment on a celebrity, whatever it might be. So that's kind of like some of the things that impact vintage pricing specifically. And I think it's probably frustrating from a consumer lens to see maybe your favorite Reformation top for less on like a Poshmark or a Depop, but then like that Fendi bag is like extremely high in price. So rental is really a natural concept for vintage because you're not going to find vintage for the most part for an affordable price that kind of sets the same expectations as like a modern piece on the secondhand market. I think also from like a cultural perspective, Gen Z is very focused on looking different, which is I think a fantastic thing. Like I would say I would consider myself just on the bridge of Gen Z. I'm not actually Gen Z, but sometimes I feel related to them. But like no one say how old I am. But have you seen that thing where Robert Pattinson was like, I am Gen Z?
Yes.
And Jennifer Lawrence is like, you're literally like 35. That's me. But I will say Gen Z like loves to dress like individuals. I think back when we were like in middle school, like everyone wanted the same Hollister jeans. Like everyone dressed in uniform.
Which is coming back, by the way, which is odd.
I know. Hollister being vintage is frankly like rude and like people should stop saying that. Like respect your elders. But I will say everyone likes to dress individually. Like Gen Z has such interesting style. Like they mix and match things like not like older generations do. It's really fascinating to see. But if you show up to a party, you want to be dressed differently than your friends now. You don't want to look like you're in uniform. And I think what vintage and secondhand lends to that is the ability to kind of curate your own wardrobe and dress that in a way that feels authentic to you. So I think that's really driving part of like the culture behind it. We like to say if everyone showed up to a party and like all 50 people were wearing Isle of Monday, no one would be dressed the same, which is really great because everything is one of one, everything is unique, everything is kind of like you can fit to your own personality and flair. And then I would say the other aspect of this is I think vintage is always, it's never going to be like necessarily a trend or niche. It's always going to be coveted because it is so unique and it is, you know, limited and rare. And all of those things are obviously perceived as like valuable and just like the general economy. But I also will say like vintage has overtaken celebrity culture. And I think that really ends up impacting the everyday consumer too. Like you see celebrities on the red carpet and their everyday lives pulling from the archives more than ever. And we totally see that trickle down.
A lot of brands are getting involved too. Luxury houses, Ralph Lauren.
100%.
I think they bought back tons of their old.
They made $500 million just last year.
It's crazy.
On vintage. Yeah. So talk about like an opportunity when it comes to the market. It's really crazy.
And I hadn't really thought of this before, but as you were talking about it, I almost wonder the influence of social media. And I think we're all growing up in social media native age, let's call it. And this idea of wanting to be unique, of then procuring products that no one else has. I think that also plays into it.
It's clout.
Probably,
Yes, uniqueness is like the new currency. Like you need to be unique in order to have a social media presence if that's what you want. And I think there's a stat out there like a large number of Gen Z specifically like wants to be influencers or trying to be influencers. It's a huge career. Yeah, a huge industry, huge career path for like the younger generation. So people want to, you know, be unique through how they present themselves, and everyone has to wear clothes. So that's usually how people differentiate.
Genuinely have girls who will rent from us simply to take a photo shoot.
Yeah.
Which is like honestly kind of iconic. It's great for us for marketing because then we get all these like great photos. But it is like, again, like I think it's just like an interesting change in the way that people are engaging with each other on social media. Like we're no longer like coding on MySpace. Like we're like, it's the new age of TikTok and YouTube and all of that. So,
and I will say like, a lot of our pieces, we have this one like Cavalli set that's like a tiger Cavalli print set. It's incredible. It's one of our consigners, Gone Archive. She's incredible. That's like $5,000 to buy. It's so unique and so crazy that you wear it once. It's so memorable. You don't have to own it. You know, like once you get the photo in it, you're good. So I also feel like that kind of lends to rental.
It 100% does. Yeah. Like, what are you going to do? Wear that to the grocery store and like in bed at night? Like you don't need to own that piece. Like you truly just want to wear it once and get your photo and like have an iconic birthday or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you want to return it. And you also don't want to pay $5,000 for that.
When you were pivoting from resale to rental, was this something you could have predicted, or has this just been let's call it a good happen chance that's sort of just pushed the momentum behind rental and specifically Isle of Monday now?
I think it was a happenstance. We definitely did not go into resale thinking we were going to go into rental. I think our consumers told us that. What we were seeing firsthand told us that. We created this concept out of demand that we were seeing and how we wanted to make the industry different and more accessible.
100%. And I think rental has existed since the dawn of time for stylists and industry professionals. It just hasn't been open to the public, and it certainly hasn't been scaled in a tech-enabled way. Like it's never been like on demand, like you go on a website, you click 4 days, conceptually like a modern rental platform. It gets shit. Like there's no tech and operations at scale that's behind the industry yet before what we were building. So I think for us, when we were thinking about integrating rental, we're like, okay, these things are available for the stylist to pull or to rent for a price. Why can't they be available to the public? As long as you create, the structure that still protects the integrity of the piece and make sure that people are consuming these pieces responsibly so that they're still preserved and all of that. So that's a huge part of our business and something that we continuously think about. We're not in the game to like rent an archival piece until it's ruined. Like that's absolutely not our intention. So I think there's just like a lot of operations and forethought into the way that we've built our business to make sure that all of those things are thought through, and I think that's probably why it also hasn't been done before.
Let's then pivot into Isle of Monday today. You obviously brought up a lot of the operational differences that sort of drive Isle of Monday today, the technology that's allowing you to be able to scale rental. In our previous conversation, we talked a little bit about Rent the Runway and how they were one of the first that were on the market years before rental was really normalized, let's call it. So sort of having that in mind, talk about what Isle of Monday is today, why you're building it, and what you want people to remember about Isle of Monday.
You think about that. I mean, Rent the Runway absolutely pioneered the space. I will say that. Like none of us, and by us, I mean like anyone in the rental industry would not exist without the work that they put in. Like they really walked so that everyone else could run. And I think that's really important to put out there. Like they truly are the pioneers. I think for us, we are obviously rental, but we are trying to position it in a way and build in a way that is so specific to the vintage industry, which has operated in a very specific way until date. And so when we think about every single thing that we do, it's for vintage in mind. It's for our consigners and what they need. It's for the garments and what we need to do to preserve them. It's for the single SKU aspect of like that everything is one of one. It's to communicate the history of the pieces and make sure people really appreciate what they're wearing and understand the significance of it. It's for storytelling. It's for the fashion girl that like absolutely loves vintage and like gets it, but it's also to educate the person that might be like new to the space, because we're obviously scaling to something that's much broader than just one specific type of demographic. And so I think for us, like we're really excited to build something that ends up creating the foundation for maybe the future of how secondhand and vintage is consumed.
Yeah, and circulated.
Yes, and circulated too. Like a lot of these pieces have sat idle in private collector closets, or they're quite literally like samples or dead stock, and they've never even been worn before. And talk about like fast fashion and overconsumption and trends and like micro trends and all of that. Like fashion is really hard to even have data analytics behind because trends move so quickly. But vintage is something that is so consistent. And honestly, like most fashion houses and even fast fashion brands are pulling their references from the archives and, making accordingly. And so a lot of people really just want the real thing. And that's what we really want to give people. It's much more circular. It's much more sustainable. And it's pieces that truly deserve to be worn to this day. Like they were built to last for a reason. And so why not wear them now?
Are there certain aspects from Isle of Monday V1, let's call it, that allow you now with Isle of Monday in its current form to really go out and scale much faster?
Oh, 100%. I don't think we could have done this if we weren't resellers before. Our entire network is because of the foundation that we had when we were resellers. So just for context, our owned inventory, we own a lot of the inventory, obviously that's on our platform. That is all procured through the network that we created when we were resellers. So we have relationships with estate houses, auction houses, sample houses, private collectors, vintage dealers who have warehouses across the globe, people who specialize in like certain designers. We have a specialist in blue marine, for example. All of that work was really done when we were reselling because that's how we were getting our supply. When you're in that world, you also naturally meet other resellers and other brands in the space. The vintage community is pretty small. Like it's not, but like once you know people, you kind of naturally know a lot of other people. So people knew who we were. They knew Isle of Monday before we were rental. So that's how we were able to get our supply for one. But then two, for like our consignment portion, people want to consign their inventory for us for the unit economics, but also there's a level of trust that has already been established because they knew us already or they heard of us. When you're dealing with high value, like archival and designer vintage clothing, if they didn't know you in the space and you're working with individuals, they probably would have been like, "Ooh, I don't know if I trust that." So this industry is so interesting because a lot of it is relationship based, a lot of it is trust based. And it would have been extremely difficult, if not impossible, for us to do rental without having that like solid foundation.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think because it's relationship based, there is a high barrier to entry. A lot of these people, like you can throw money at them, they don't care. Like they truly care about the artistry of sourcing really cool pieces. They care about the history. They care about all of that. And so if you're not coming at it from like a genuine place of wanting to work with them and protect their pieces and monetize in a responsible way and be kind and thoughtful about it, they're not going to want to work with you. And so that relationship is something that took us a very long time to build, but it's integral to our business now. And it does create a very high barrier to entry for somebody else, like a large corporation.
Talk about the protecting the pieces you mentioned there. Because obviously, as opposed to modern day clothing and even modern luxury to a certain extent, vintage clothing just lasts a lot longer. It looks a lot better as well, I would say. So how do you actually go about the process of protecting it? I think there is an inherent risk as you're increasing the circularity of that piece, you know? So how are you protecting these pieces? And why is it that a dealer or, you know, you talked about the people you consign from, why are they trusting you outside of the relationships, obviously?
Well, to answer your first question, we're extremely thoughtful. Like when we were building, we were really looking for a care and cleaning partner that we could trust, that was, you know, versed in the vintage industry, knew how to take care of these pieces. So our corporate partnership with our care and cleaning specialists is paramount to our business. They specialize in vintage and couture pieces. So they know how to preserve, refurbish, repair, and clean these pieces. You can't just willy-nilly take your archival Roberto Cavalli dress to any dry cleaner. There's special solvents, special types of cleaning that need to go into preserving these pieces. So that partnership, I would say, is completely like integral to our company. And then in addition to that, when we're actually kind of thinking about beyond cleaning it, actually circulating it to consumers, the way we preserve it in our office and in our warehouse is very vintage specific. There's ways that you need to store vintage that are very different from modern. In terms of how we actually ship our items out, we are currently in the process of creating like customized packaging so that it, how would you say that, like protects the piece a little bit more and is also like reusable. So the customer can just use that same packaging and send it back to us. All of those type of operations are so built into, I guess, how we function on day to day, but also when you think about the single SKU of it all, it's all interjected into our technology. So our ops are really like our moat at the end of the day.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
I was just going to say, we also provide a lot of guidelines and education to our consumers. So like when you are renting from us, some pieces, for instance, like are a little bit more of a delicate fabric. So like you can't wear a tennis bracelet with that, for instance, just as an example. any piece, like regardless of what it is, realistically, like we stay away from things like tanning oils and body oils and like spraying perfume directly on it or hairspray, things like that. And that's all things that we like kindly,
shove down your throat.
Yeah. Kindly instill some healthy fear. But we basically educate our consumers like, this is how you take care of the piece. We're not in the business of trying to trick a consumer into having to pay for something. Because again, these pieces are expensive. Like the reason that you're renting is so that you can get something at an affordable price.
Yeah.
So like we expect natural wear and tear to these items, which is why we have such a foundational partner in our operations that takes a look at everything between rentals like under a special light and reinforces and repairs and does all of that stuff. So you're not held accountable or you don't have to kind of deal with somebody else's past mistake during your rental. But with that said, like it's our responsibility as the people that are distributing these pieces to make sure that our consumer is educated on how to properly take care of something. Because we can't assume that someone knows that, a silk Vivienne Westwood bustier, you shouldn't put water on or something. You know what I mean? Not everyone's like a fashion expert. So we make sure that there's a lot of education.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there...
Oh, no, go on. I was going to answer your second question, but go on.
Well, obviously there's a level of protection that's needed for these clothes. What about, do you have any restrictions or anything on, you can only sort of wear this garment in these sort of settings, or hey, be careful, like you can't do certain activities with, whatever you're wearing?
You definitely can't like go in the ocean with these items.
Like I hope you're not like running a mile in something.
Yeah. So like, for example, if you have like a birthday party on the beach or something and you're going into the water, like you can't do that. And like our packaging is like very,
healthy amount of fear.
Yeah. Like do not get this wet. I would say aside from water.
Yeah, we're not like you have to wear this to a certain event and you can wear it to something else. But I think
that wouldn't be scalable.
Yeah, the guidelines we provide, it's very clear that you can't do certain things or else it would put it at risk for that happening, if that makes sense. Also, just don't be irresponsible and let something like that happen at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There is a certain amount of trust, obviously, that has to come in from obviously the supplier standpoint, which is you, and then the consumer, which is...
Yeah. And I also will add to that, like we have like a certain amount of wares that we estimate in our business of like how many pieces or how many times certain pieces can be rented before they're retired. So like a leather jacket is going to be a lot different than like a silk archival dress. And we take that into account because of like the fabrication and everything like that to make sure that we're responsibly renting this a certain amount of times.
At a specific price point. Yeah.
At a specific price point. And also, I think for something that's incredibly archival, yes, you're accessing it at a fraction of the price it would take to buy it, but it's still going to be, a healthy price point because it's archival. And so that creates like a natural barrier. Like you're only going to rent $1,000 rental because it's your wedding or you're going somewhere special. So I think that inherently creates a little bit of a barrier to entry for people that you're going to choose to wear that extremely rare piece to an event that isn't jumping into the ocean or something like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the demand side of the business now. One, obviously, go to market and how you're going about making it known that Isle of Monday's out there, which I think is really unique because you have a showroom, and I'd love for you to shout that out as well. But talk about, let's start talking about how you're thinking about how to get Isle of Monday out there for people to really understand, and how you're generating that demand.
Yeah, so I would say there's 3 levers that we pull. And I want to preface that the reason that we go about it this way right now is because we are a startup, we're early stage, and so we have to be somewhat scrappy. We have a lot of marketing ideas of things that we want to implement down the line. From a storytelling perspective, we are absolutely like huge fans of the creative process. We like absolutely love production and everything. So there's plenty of campaign ideas that I'm sure we'll instill in the future. But right now we're a little baby scrappy team. So with that said, there's 3 levers that we pull. The first is social media. Social media is like, in my opinion, it's such an insanely amazing tool for businesses to grow because it's free, and it's really up to you to like take control of that and to use it to your advantage. For us, interestingly, I always thought TikTok was going to be like our biggest driver. And it was for a while, I would say. And it really helped us grow our 30,000 person wait list that we had before we launched.
Wow.
But Instagram has been my bestie lately. So we basically, Gabriella and I get together, we have a model come in and we feature like all of our different inventory across our consigners and our pieces that we actually own. And we try to tell the story of like a girl, you know, getting ready in her apartment or going out in New York City to wear something. And we essentially just film that. And then we put together things in like reel format or we take photos internally and that's what we post. More times than not, that performs extremely well and is honestly how we've built our following on Instagram. We're very consistent. We try and keep things extremely high quality. And I think it's just like resonating with people. We found a formula that really works for us. With that said, it's not going to be how we do things forever, but it'll always be a part of our, you know, ethos when it comes to our social media. That does drive a lot of followers for us, which obviously converts to demand. When people see something and it goes viral or whatever, then they can go on our website and they can go ahead and just rent it immediately. It also brings a lot of celebrity stylists our way, a lot of influencers our way. A lot of that's inbound for us. It's kind of become a champagne problem, if you will,
That's awesome.
of us getting like inundated with these requests. Which is honestly great. Like I would much rather have that than the opposite problem, no one wanting to work with us. So that's really incredible because we have those two kind of users reaching out to us, both the influencers and the celebrity stylists. We've then been able to kind of infuse that into our marketing strategy. So from like a stylist perspective, they'll reach out to us. We'll do a fitting and then like ultimately a rental for that celebrity. Then we feature that on our page. People see someone like Stassi Schroeder wearing our dress and they're like, oh my God, that's incredible. And then like the everyday consumer is like, I want to rent that too. So we see a lot of success that way. But I would say more so from like the celebrity perspective, you get an influx of supply because every other vintage brand and vintage collector ultimately usually follows those stylists. And then they see us associated with whatever piece that was. They check us out and they're like, oh, I want to be a part of this too. So it's a great discovery engine for us when it comes to additional supply acquisition and more consigners and more private collectors and all of that, and has been a great kind of natural flow for us. Obviously, it creates demand too, which is great. And then on the influencer side of things, same type of deal. So that's bode really well for us, and it's helped with the demand as well. And we love all the girls we work with.
Yeah, the showroom piece is honestly really interesting. I think that, like, I mean, I went in there obviously and it literally looks like your New York City apartment and you do most of your shoots there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Scrappy.
Yeah. Yes. I think from a social media perspective, you probably see our showroom and you're like, oh my God, it's so like beautiful. And it looks like an apartment, all these things. But I'm like behind the scenes, it's like me, Gabriella, like our two desks, my dog sometimes is in there. Like that's our office too. So I think eventually we would really love to have like a separate IOM showroom is the dream that we can open up like way more appointments and have people coming in more regularly. But right now it's definitely an incredible space for us.
Yeah, I love it. I basically live there at this point. So do you.
Yeah.
When you talk about champagne problems, how do you make sure that you're scaling supply to meet demand? Have you found that to be an issue so far, or do you project it to be, you know, something that you'll need to at least keep an eye on as you're moving forward?
I don't think supply is our constraint by any means. I think I don't want to say what the challenge is right now, but it's not like the physical supply. It's having people onboarded onto our team to help manage the amount of supply that's coming in. So we recently made a strategic hire who hopefully will be joining us in a full-time capacity soon. She will be like the director of partnerships and growth and really helping to manage all of the inbound supply. The supply, again, is not the problem. It's having the manpower, because we're such a scrappy small team, to actually upload it onto our site and just kind of go through all of the like onboarding processes, which hopefully in the future, as part of our tech roadmap, will be automated. So yeah, as we scale supply, definitely not. It's just really at such an early stage. It's Janelle, me, a few interns. We need some help.
Okay. Keep an eye out for that, guys.
Yes. And even once we like automate things, honestly, like I think what's so incredible about that hire is like you still need that human touch point. Like at the end of the day, the industry, if you go back to what we were talking about earlier, is relationship based. So like we can automate onboarding and all of that, but like we still need real humans talking to, you know, the people that we partner with and making sure that those relationships are really strong, because they are such a foundational part of our business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's the most important aspect of it, right? The relationships. On my last episode, I was talking with Gab Waller, and
Yeah.
she's in the luxury vintage space as well. A bit of a different business than what
Sourcing, yeah.
you're doing. Yeah. But with her platform, she's automating a lot of the back end messiness, but she made the point to say nothing really changes on the relationship front because that's the most important part, as you outlined, of your business.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's augmentation. It's not replacement
I like that.
at all. Yeah. Yeah.
That was good.
Buzz terms I learned in my tech days. Guys, I can pull out all the buzz terms.
Wait, I love that. Add it to the
Augmentation.
deck.
They like shoved that word down our throats when I worked at Salesforce. They were like, augmentation. So yeah, now it's like burned in my brain.
Talk about the user experience though, because I've been on the website and it's just beautiful. It literally looks like you're.
Thank you. It's our baby.
Yeah.
Shout out Jen,
There you
Yeah.
go.
her designer.
But I think what I love most about it is it's not just static photos. It's fun creative photo shoots. It's videos, so you're seeing the motion of the pieces as well. If you can just really quickly talk about the vision behind the user experience online.
We really wanted to flip the vintage shopping experience on its head. Like vintage shoppers will know, like when you go on Depop or Poshmark or the Real, you're looking at items on a mannequin or like on the floor or on like a hanger. It's very hard to know if something's going to fit you, what it actually looks like. What the condition is there a hole in the back of the skirt if you're only seeing a flat lay on the floor? Like it's very inconsistent, yet you're asking the consumer to spend like hundreds of dollars on something that they have minimal information about. So our goal there was to really make a website that was akin to Shopping Modern, but where you could see what an item looked like all around. So front photos, back photos, side photos, you name it, videos. And in a way that literally looks like you're shopping on like Revolve or Forward. And then infusing those lifestyle images in there as well. So you can kind of see or have an idea of what you would look like in that piece. So that was kind of the idea behind all of that. And I feel like that's bode really well for us because we're getting a lot of rentals. And I think the photos really give a consumer an idea of what the piece is going to look like on them, because at the end of the day, like they're renting it. So they want to make sure they want to have that fit confidence. So,
and it makes it look fun too. It makes the aspect of shopping really fun. You're looking through all these different creative photo shoots, and
We had a girl post on TikTok, which I don't think I shared with you, but
no.
there was a girl who posted on TikTok like a couple weeks ago. We don't know her, but she was basically like, she was like, my new favorite activity is just doom scrolling on Isle of Monday, and she was just flipping through our website.
What?
Yeah, because she just liked looking at it.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's really cute. Sometimes I just search Isle of Monday on TikTok to see like what pops up. But I thought that was really cute. And I also will add like I think because it's so pretty to look at and it's so uniform and akin to modern, it also helps debunk anyone who's new to the industry of thinking that vintage is like old or smelly or torn or whatever. Like the luxury price point and the luxury experience match, which is how it really should be. And if you're looking at it, like for all you know, these pieces look modern because they're so pristine and they're presented in a way that makes sense. And I think for us, like that experience will also help with this circularity aspect of kind of how people shop. Like it's obviously already on the rise to shop secondhand. But I think it's really important for us to like make it as easy as shopping modern, make the experience as pretty as shopping modern. And like, there should be no excuse to not shop secondhand at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if the user experience matches what modern is.
Yeah. And we're able to invest in that from a company standpoint because these pieces are going to be on our platform for 2 to 3 years based on our like projections. So that's why we can make the investment in them. It wouldn't make sense from a resale perspective, right? Because we're churning so quickly. It's like a waste of money. But with rental, it's going to be there for a while. It's infinite. Exactly. So yeah, that's why it makes sense for us.
amazing. I want to bring it back to the two of you now.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about the confidence that building something of your own has given you. Obviously, you two started off as having side hustles. I think more and more people today are starting to have side hustles. But what did that give you in terms of confidence, in terms of, you know what, maybe I can go full time into this? Like, talk a little bit about that.
I think I always knew I always wanted to have my own company, my own business. I used to like tell that to my parents when I was like a little kid. So
I would be a businesswoman when I grow up.
literally like would say that. It was actually kind of strange. So like I always knew that I wanted to do this. My freshman year of college, my major was like small business management and entrepreneurship. Like I kind of always knew I wanted to do something. I just never knew what it was. But I guess the confidence really came from, like for me personally, like my very first pop-up ever that I did was at this Brooklyn flea, essentially. It was called The Thrill, and it was by a company that's now defunct, but it was called Shop Thrilling. I did this pop-up. It was my first time ever doing a pop-up, first time ever even like selling vintage, and I sold out in 3 hours while every other vendor still had stuff.
Wow.
And that's not to say like, oh, I'm the best thing ever. But like that was kind of like, oh, okay, I actually do understand like what I'm doing in that.
You have an eye for it.
I have an eye for it. And my mom was there helping me. My dog was in her little doggy carrier. Like it was very just like low lift. But my mom was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you, like she was like shocked by it. So that was also kind of a moment for me when I was like, okay, maybe this is something that I can really focus on. That gave me a lot of confidence, I would say. And like one little antidote, I remember I was like, I only have 25 shopping bags. To my mom, I said that. I was like, I only have 25 bags. Like, do you think that's enough? And she was like, oh yeah, that's plenty. I ran out in like 10 minutes. And I always kind of think about that. Like that alone gives me so much confidence. Yeah. That little like memory that I have of not having enough bags. Yeah.
Every day. What gives me confidence? I feel like when we were building, first of all, I like so firmly believe in what we're building. Like I think the idea is just so incredible and necessary. But I think once we started actually sharing the idea with the public and like the amount of interest and excitement and like genuine like fangirlness that came out of it was just so validating. And I wouldn't say either of us like have an ego when it comes to this. Like we're very just focused on the brand itself, but it's very encouraging and does build a lot of confidence and makes you feel a lot less like imposter syndrome when girls are coming to you and being like, oh my God, how did you think of this? How are you building this? Like we've had a lot of people put us on a pedestal, which I think in our day in and day out, we're like, oh my God, this is hard. Like as a founder, you just have a lot of moments where you kind of are.
If you could only imagine what it actually looks like inside of this.
Exactly.
Yeah. It might look rosy, but like the reality is like, there's lots of sleepless nights, a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of feeling like you're just going to crash because you're so tired. Like it's, it's in those moments, like I would say the highs and lows of our days are very extreme. Yes.
But I think the highs are like, beyond just obviously believing in the idea and thinking that this is going to be like so incredible. Like I think there's so many times we could have given up by now, honestly. Like, and I think that is what is making a difference. But I think the validation from consumers and like hearing how excited they are, and like we'll literally get emails from people being like, we had a girl who got married in Vegas and she wore one of our dresses and she was like, it just fit incredibly and it was like the best day ever. And like it was just like the nicest note ever. We had someone who invested recently and she emailed us yesterday and she was like, this is my first.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She was like, this is my first investment ever. And like, I'm so happy. And it feels so special that it's Isle of Monday. Like that type of stuff, like low-key makes us emotional because it does feel like it's like the beginning of something really huge. And I think it gives us the confidence to like keep going because we really have something incredible like on our hands.
It's funny. I was talking with one of my friends yesterday. He hosted he has this after work company that they put on events, really cool guests, etc. And he texted me this morning while we were talking about it. And he's like, this is incredible. Like we're getting so many people coming out. And I think to your point, it's just so validating when that consumer demand, but also just the consumer satisfaction meets your hard work.
Exactly.
Where do you find that most people, I suppose, sort of stop? What allowed you, do you have moments where, I suppose, if you had just stopped instead of pushing through that one bad day, can you talk about that?
Yeah, there's been a lot. There's never been a moment when I wanted to like actually stop, but there have definitely been moments like to be vulnerable of like self-doubt or like just complete exhaustion when you like can't think straight, or what are other good examples? I feel like when we were like in the summer, for example, last summer, we started the fundraising process. We didn't have a product in market yet. We just had this amazing idea and conviction and like prior success on our side, but we didn't have a product. And I felt like we would just kept getting beaten down by VCs and by investors. And we were like, oh my gosh, like we know this is something consumers want. How do we prove this? So that's when we were like, you know what? Just like, let's just launch beta and we'll figure it out. We'll launch it in the scrappiest way possible. We'll get that product in market. It's going to be a miserable 3 months pushing for this, but like we have to do this in order to show people what we say. And because we have so much conviction when we believed in it, we just powered through, we pushed through. Janelle was in the midst of it, all of this getting married. We literally kicked off our build in Italy when she was about to get married. So like we had to make a lot of calls that, like looking back, I don't know if I could do it again, but like, I mean, I probably would, but like, it's a lot. Yeah. And I think, you know, maybe any other founder probably wouldn't kick off an entire tech build during their wedding, but that could have been a moment
heard
to
of
stop.
some people that are doing that right now, and I'm like, praying for you. I would completely agree with that. And I think Gabriella and I are equally crazy, and I feel like every founder has to be equally crazy to just keep going. Insane. Like you're gonna get told no so many times. You're gonna get like, you know, so much criticism and doubt and thrown at your way, and you just have to be crazy enough to keep going, especially if you believe in your idea. And so I think we are equally like insane in that sense, and that's what's kept us moving. So I agree, like there's never been a moment where we were actually going to stop, but there were certainly moments where like I think if we hadn't believed in our idea, or if someone else was trying to build this, they certainly would have. Because there are very, you know, you're tired, you haven't slept in 3 days, you're like, I just want to like have a moment where I can like, you know, bed rot and watch TV. And like, I think in those moments when we're feeling really, really down, we just are like, okay, we're having a moment. Let's like take, you know, 12 hours to just like sleep and like restore and then, like cry. And then like after those 12 hours, we're like ready to get back to it. So I think you just have to be like honest with yourself and like graceful and just ready to keep going.
I think it takes a real discipline, right? You're not relying solely on motivation. Motivation's up and down. One day, you know, you're having a bad day, and it can be easy to sort of let things fall away. I do agree that you should take rest when appropriate, but I think having that long-term discipline to keep going is sort of what sets apart a lot of the conversations I've had with founders on this podcast. You're gonna get told no so many times, probably more than you would have expected. And yet those that succeed, or those that are starting to succeed, the one thing that separates them is the willingness and the ability to continue to push through because they have conviction. But also because, you know, the more no's you get, the quicker you learn what you should be doing instead of
1,000. Yeah, we made so many mistakes last year that we're like now realizing and kind of implementing into our strategy and all of that. But I completely agree. I really think that what makes or breaks a founder is your willingness to keep going.
And knowing your consumer too at the end of the day, because a lot of the no's just didn't make any sense. Like the reasons behind it was like, oh, you just don't get it. Like you don't get what we're building, and that's fine. We'll move on. So it's just like, you're not the right partner.
We've had people literally be like, this is niche. Like vintage is not, like they genuinely just didn't believe that vintage was in demand. And I'm like, okay, well,
like on to the next. Like it's not even going to phase me.
It puts a
on
your shoulder.
Exactly.
Let's end on a fun note. Let's talk about it. Let's do a quick rapid fire then. Favorite piece you've sourced for Isle of Monday so far?
Oof. You go first. I don't know.
Oh God, that's really hard. I think our OG Roberto Cavalli Spring Summer 2003 Baroque gown and corset is always going to have like a special place in my heart. But there's been some recent pieces that I'm like I feel like the girls, when they like see us source new things and post about it, like people's jaws drop.
Oh, there's gonna be one,
And there's like I feel like this is my favorite piece that we are getting in, and I like can't say what it is yet, but like there's some crazy pieces on our way, especially for bridal, where I'm literally like, I selfishly cannot wait to at least like try it on in the office. Like it's just so cool.
That must be the most fun part of your day. You get to try on these beautiful pieces before you put them on.
We're trying to do that more often.
Our interns are having a ball. Like when we're there, like unboxing things, are like it's
Yeah, I would say mine is probably a Dior that's on its way and a Versace that's on its way.
Yes.
It's probably my favorite, but I don't want to say what they are. They're very bridal-esque, but they're runway pieces.
Mhm.
So super exciting.
Is there anything you would change about what you're doing now than what you started with?
No, I don't think so.
Hmm.
For me, at least.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, you mean change?
Looking back now to when you first started Isle of Monday last summer, anything else you would do differently today?
Oh, like change between like how we
Mhm.
built things
I think we would change our fundraising strategy a bit. We would have launched way sooner.
Yeah.
Way sooner. The reason we didn't is because we were in diligence with different funds, thinking that we could secure money. But at the end of the day, we were so early that it just wasn't the right timing. So we kind of wasted time with people that probably weren't going to invest at our stage. And we if we had known that, looking back, we would have launched probably in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know what you don't know. And I wouldn't even change that though, because now we're on those people's radars and they're reaching back out to us.
Yeah.
So like it all happens for a reason.
Yeah. Everything happens I think you actually have to like blindly just believe that everything happens for a reason, and obviously learn from the mistakes that happen and implement that into your strategy, but don't get sucked into like what you can't change from the past, because it's just not going to happen.
Any dream celebrity or brand that you want to work with?
I mean, Bella Hadid,
Yeah.
Elsa Husk. Dream brands, I would say the big fashion houses. LVMH would be insane to like land.
Mm-hmm.
Manifesting it right now. We're putting it out
manifesting. I mean, Bella would be amazing. She's such a fashion girl.
Yeah, she's such a fashion girl. I even think like really interesting like people that kind of help style themselves too, like Tiana Taylor and like some of those bigger celebrities that truly just like love fashion and they feel like it's like a creative process for them, I think would be really cool to partner with down the line.
Yeah.
But definitely the fashion houses, they have wild archives. We actually found out about one recently. We were like,
working on that. Yeah.
Okay. And last one, what is one last thing you would like our listeners, the people watching at home, what would you like them to take away about Isle of Monday?
I'm like, oh.
About the company or about us, do you mean?
Company, about you two.
I think at this stage of what we're building right now, first of all, there's so much more to come. Like there's
so much more. Yeah.
We are listening to the feedback. We are like all internalizing it. We're making sure that it's like a part of our future build. I think good things take time. And so the more that you can share with us, like the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, like it really helps us continue to build something that's for our consumer versus, we're not in the business of trying to like guess what people want. So we do have like feedback forms. We do focus groups, like all of that. So
we're building with you at the end of the day. So
100%. And I think that is super integral. And we do have so many girls that do come to us and like give us amazing feedback. And then we're like, oh, like, I really wish you had like this one thing, or there's like use cases where we're like, oh, like, do you ever do this? And so like, we are taking note of every single thing under the sun. And there's a lot of incredible things from products, features to services that are coming soon. So yeah, I guess we just like really appreciate the trust and like the grace of time that it takes to build these things. But I think the future of Isle of Monday, even like a year from now, is going to look so different than what we have right now. And it's going to be, excuse my French, really fucking cool.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yay.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening into this episode of the TechCouture podcast. You can find Isle of Monday on socials, Isle of Monday on Instagram, Isle of Monday on TikTok, isleofmonday.com.
Yes.
They have a Substack as well, which is called Isle of Monday. You can listen to TechCouture on Spotify, and you can find me on Instagram and TikTok as well. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Gabriella. This has been amazing.
Thank you so much. This was fun.